Hi everybody, we're doing a Q&A with my boyfriend Felix.
Hello.
Because you guys asked a bunch of questions from the last video, so I thought we could do it now over speed paint, as you can clearly see. So, a little bit of background on Felix.
Mm-hmm.
We have been together for around 7 years.
Yep.
We've known each other for 11.
Yep.
And you're originally from Germany.
Yep, I've been here for 11 years now.
Yeah. And we met in grade 8. So
the best year.
Yeah, the best year. Okay, so here's some of the questions you guys gave us. So how long have we been playing D&D?
We've been playing D&D for about 8 years, I think.
Yeah, around 8.
And we started with version 3.5, which is pretty much still our favorite version to this day.
Which is the other question with your favorite version and why. So it's pretty much because we started with it.
We started with it, we're the most comfortable with it, and we don't really need the new rules to get in the way of trying to make a good story.
Yeah.
So we don't really have a reason to change.
Yeah, though we are still thinking about experimenting with 5.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I still want to try the new version and use it a bit. Okay, so modules, do we use them? And are you ever thinking about making Fool's Gold into a module?
Well, for the first part, no. I have read a few modules when I was getting into DMing, but I feel they're just too restrictive. I prefer making the stories my own. I prefer writing everything and creating everything, so I don't really use modules at all. As for making Fool's Gold into a module, maybe? I guess if a lot of people want it. Unfortunately, I'm really busy lately, but maybe I'll try to make some time to write it. It could be fun. It's very specific to the characters, but it could work.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, even just writing the module with just the places and NPCs might be fun.
Yeah, even the setting of Fool's Gold might just be nice.
Yeah. Okay, so do we use grids and little miniatures?
I have tried it once, and I didn't enjoy it. My players didn't really enjoy it either, so I don't use grids or minis at all.
Yeah, I agree. The wild magic chart. What wild magic chart do you use?
I use a wild magic chart found on the D&D wiki. It's the 3.5 variant rule or something like that. We'll post a link in the description.
Yeah.
You'll definitely find all the effects that Sips has suffered on that chart. It is magnificent.
Yeah. I word them a little differently in the video because I don't exactly remember exactly what the chart said. But yeah, it's the same effect, so.
Yeah, it's great. I could recommend if you try to use that chart, just go for it and don't be afraid to stick with it. Don't fudge the rolls. I haven't fudged any of the rolls for that chart.
Yeah, except once. But that was because the chart was giving us what was the rule? It was
It was something like within a cube, 100 years pass. And long story short, the player within the cube would have simply died, and that's kind of the end of it. So that one I redid.
Yeah, because it was just we all discussed it, because we all discuss stuff at the table when we have it, and if you feel like it's not fair to the story and the players, you talk to us about it. So, yeah. If not, you like to jerk us around, but
You guys enjoy that.
Yeah.
But in that case, I just ended up re-rolling, but that's the only case.
Yeah. Okay, so Felix, how do you manage a game where it appears you have no ability to control the outcome each session? Is any of it planned, or is it just go with the flow?
I mean, that's the fun of it. I plan a little bit, but I'm still trying to find the balance between how much I should and shouldn't plan. Generally, what I do right now is I plan the world, I plan the NPCs, and I know each NPC's goals, intentions, and values. From there, which is kind of just the bones of the world, the players, as they go, fill in the meat.
Yeah.
I think that's about the best way to explain it right now.
Yeah, I like the way you handle it.
I definitely enjoy going with the flow, hence why I don't use modules.
Regarding Homebrew, where do you draw the limits? Do you try to use something as a base, or do you do whatever and use the fun rule?
No limits! I mean, in general, for our sessions, we use fun trumps rules. So if something's more fun, if it weren't restrained by rule, we generally allow it. For homebrew content, we base it on what we can find in 3.5 or similar creatures or items, and just kind of build on top of it and see what would be fun. Like, how can we make this more interesting? Like we had that case for Jawbone, the familiar of Gothy, because the player described to me the kind of familiar she wanted, the kind of abilities she wanted to have. And so I think Jawbone was actually based on a dire wolf's stats, and then I added a draconic template from the Savage Species book.
Right.
It made him quite overpowered, but the trade-off we did for that was that she could no longer cast any offensive spells from a druid list, only kind of like support or healing spells and those kind of things. And she loved it. It worked out perfectly.
Yeah, because it's always about balance with Homebrew. It's like always trying to make sure that it's not going to be overpowered or also messing up with the players. So
yeah,
you have to really balance it.
Homebrew can be fun, especially when it does get overpowered. It can still be lots of fun. It just doesn't work if you have a power gamer or like a min-maxer in your group.
Yeah, a person who just like wants to be the protagonist, like the overpowered, wants to have all that stuff. And
yeah,
like,
those people can be fun, but it doesn't quite work with them because just in their nature, they're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah. So really, the whole idea of it is that you just need the DM to trust the players and the players to trust the DM.
Yep.
So I think that's what really makes a great group. And that's what we found with our group, with the Fool's Gold group, is that everybody just kind of trusted each other, that we wouldn't take advantage of the situation, and also that we trusted that Felix wouldn't mess with us. Which ties into a question.
Fools!
Yeah, which ties into a question. Why didn't Kinora kill or capture everyone when time was frozen? Also, were you planning to killing on the entire party? She has like 45 attacks, so, you know.
Yeah, I figured people would ask that. Well, Kinora didn't want to kill the entire party because she wanted to continue her experiments on Sips. I guess she didn't care too much for the rest of the group that Sips was in, but she had other plans, and this will come up in the next video or so, what exactly she was up to, and it'll make sense.
Overpowered, like, whenever you give us an overpowered encounter, it's not to, like, decimate us.
Yeah, not exactly. I like to make a lot of my encounters, bosses, even just regular enemies, unique and sometimes overpowered, because in my sessions, it's not just about number crunching, it's also about figuring out how to defeat an enemy, like with the environment, or you have to get creative with it, maybe use special items or something like that. But again, that comes down to the DM and the players trusting each other, because I talk to my players that I will run these kind of encounters so they know what to expect. They don't just think, oh, there's an overpowered thing, I'm going to die.
Yeah, you kind of just like, we knew your style right away was to give us something that was tough, and we just had to be smart about it. But if we're dumb about it, we definitely can die.
Absolutely. My games are run by consequence, so if you just run in and you're going to be stupid about it, yeah, you're going to die. I'm not going to feel bad about it, because you know what to expect.
Yeah, where like our group knows, okay, then like with Kinora, with all the hands, it's like, okay, we know that there's a different way of fighting her than just brute force. So
yeah.
And as a spellcaster, I love that, because I love to think outside the box and like different spells and stuff, how to use them. And
exactly. I think it makes for more engaging encounters. And it's not to say like, oh, she has 45 attacks, Felix obviously doesn't want her to get killed. It's like, no. You can totally figure out a way to kill her. This is just the way it worked out in the session.
Yeah, that too. Okay, so how do you keep your players interested in your sessions and them not getting bored or goofing off?
Well, a good start is just to try to make your session as interesting as possible and just have, interesting, intriguing dialogue or mysteries or those kind of things. I also try to give each player a fair share of spotlight as I incorporate their backstories, or I try to design encounters around their abilities. If we have a flying NPC, well, maybe there's some airborne enemies, or somebody who's really good with fire, maybe the enemies are reacting to fire in a certain way. Mm-hmm. So those kind of things really keep players engaged. But there were a few times when I actually did have to talk to the players, and we had to agree to put cell phones away because they were too distracted, and to kind of just stay on topic a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we go off topic a lot with, like, jokes and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't talk about, like, the news or anything like that. So.
No.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I really enjoyed about, like, Fool's Gold is how you tied in all our backstories in a nice, neat bow at the end, so...
Yeah, I hope you guys will see all that through the videos, but all the backstories were fully incorporated and the players loved it.
Yeah.
And the further their plots were advancing, the more attention they paid.
Yeah, that's definitely true, And, like, just so you guys know, Fool's Gold finished in June of this year.
Yep.
2018. So we played it since like 2017. We did about a year and a half, I think.
Roughly a year and a half. Yeah, it was a good length.
Yeah, I think it was about a year and a half. So, yeah, I liked how it all went down. Okay, so where is the border between antagonistic and devious but fun for a DM?
Well, again, the two sides have to trust each other. What the DM can do to kind of keep an eye on things when he's creating overpowered monsters or those kind of things. It's just, are your players having fun, or are they just groaning that there is yet another crazy thing they're going to somehow have to deal with? You can just tell by their reactions.
Yeah.
They will tell you, or at least they should tell you. You should encourage them to give you feedback, and you should just adjust as you go. You know, if they're fighting the 10th invisible beholder with no saving throws and they're groaning at the table, maybe you need to adjust something. We love you, Ben.
We love you, Ben. Yeah. No, yeah. Okay, so how did you guys come up with such a cool story and stuff in your campaign? So, like, how do you make your ideas?
Well, to summarize, just kind of go for it and push your creativity as far as you can. I often get inspired by music to kind of set to set like a mood for a session. I also get inspired by things from my games that I play. I get inspired by movies I watch or other campaigns I play in. So there's lots of ideas.
Yeah.
You can get your fodder from.
Yeah, I always think of the idea of like creativity for D&D as going way outside the box. Like if you see a bar, maybe flip that bar 90 degrees. Like everything is now 90 degrees. Everybody is 90 degrees. Everything is 90 degrees. Like just really think outside the box.
Yep. Always make something unique. Always throw in a weird twist in something like that. And it can also make for very interesting stories if you just let your story react to what the players do. Like, really react to what the players do.
Mm-hmm. And what I really am trying to get better at is also having it where you can have loose ends that you tie in at the end of the story.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like, I always have that fear of like, oh no, is this thing that I'm making, it has no real like heft to it, to the story, but then later on you realize, oh, that's why they had to go there, it's because of this, and it just kind of like it all clicks in the end. It can click in the end. It doesn't have to click in the beginning. You don't have to know your whole entire plot right away.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can just create something and just throw it out there in the session, and after the session is done, think about how you can properly incorporate that.
Yeah.
I do it all the time.
So people were asking about JoJo references in our campaign, which, I mean, none of us have watched JoJo.
Yeah, sorry to burst your bubbles, but I've never watched JoJo at all. I know what it is, I know roughly what it's about, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know, like, we have a friend who's super into it.
Yeah, and we asked him for advice.
Like, when you guys were just like, it's a JoJo reference, and we're like, we have no idea what they're talking about. Can you please fill us in, friend? And they're like, oh, because of this and this. And we're like, oh, yeah, none of us have ever watched it.
Yeah, we see the references now, so I guess, hey, thanks for the JoJo education, but, yeah.
Yeah, we really don't know where that came from. Okay, so, for Felix, what is some of your first DM mistakes, mishaps?
Well, I actually made one fairly recently. So in a current ongoing campaign, we've just started it a few weeks ago. This campaign kind of deals with a bit of the whole, like, are evil things really evil, or are good things really good, and kind of exploring the gray zones of things. Well, in like the second session, I introduced a super evil, bad, demonic cult. Like it's ripe for the picking for some do-gooders to go dispense some justice and cut some demons up. They ended up becoming friends with the cult somehow.
Yeah.
Like really buddy-buddy with a bunch of demons and worshippers, and that was a mistake.
Well, it was really the issue that you made their cult pretty logical.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, it makes sense why they're an evil demon cult, and like my character is very much a tree-hugging druid who loves all creatures and everything, and she was just like, no, demons aren't bad, you just gotta give them a chance. And then like it just escalated where it got worse and worse, and also my character's very naive.
Yeah.
So it was like, no, they're doing fine. See, of course they have to sacrifice the creature, like the people, because demons get hungry. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, no.
And that was made worse by the fact that there is a lawful good person in that party. So eventually there was quite a bit of in-party fighting between all the players. Sure. And it was just a mistake because it was too early. I like pushing those things later in the campaign. But in the second session, to kind of have things go from 0 to 100 way too quickly was a mistake.
Yeah, you had to really pull back and be like, not to make these guys so logical for us. And that's what you learned, is that to make a bad guy, like if you want a bad guy that's hard to fight morally, make him logical. Make him like, of course I do this thing because of this and this and this. Because you go, yeah, of course I can see why you do this. But to fight a boss that you really want to kill, make them just like they're doing it just because.
Yep.
It's much easier to kill a boss when they're just doing it because.
Don't let them sympathize if you really don't want them to.
Yeah, don't let them sympathize. Okay, so any advice for making new characters?
For new characters, just try to push and make them as creative as possible, I think. Each person has their own style for characters. Some people like to really have the numbers in all the right places. Some people like to have crazy awesome abilities. Personally, I like to have characters with a really interesting story, and I usually put a challenge with them. For example, I have a current character, the one who's being drawn in the background, Ludwig, the Hellbred. His challenge was that he's a paladin. First of all, he's a demonic-looking paladin, which makes for a fun challenge to begin with. But also, paladins in 3.5 get a pretty bad rep because they're kind of underpowered, and they're often known as like buzzkills of a party. You know, like, oh no, like rogue, don't do that. Well, instead, I set out to just play the most interesting paladin ever. And he's really fun to play. It's fun to just explore the challenge of him having to deal with like questionable characters. Are they good? Are they evil? You know, he can't just look at the world in black and white. There's a lot of, again, gray zones, and he's pretty fun to play. Also, he can't lie, and I'm really not used to my characters not being able to lie, and that's actually the most challenging thing about him, I think.
Yeah. And it's funny because like my character, which is Cooper, the bird, he's very much like a gray zone kind of character where he kind of accepts everybody, no matter if you're like a vampire or just like evil character. He'll just be like, no, you just need a second chance and stuff like that. So and Ludwig and them like conflict with that, but as they progress, they both learn from each other. That like from Ludwig's perspective, he's teaching Cooper that maybe he shouldn't,
trust everybody,
because some people can be rotten, where Cooper's teaching Ludwig that you don't have to judge everybody by the way they are from your book, like your paladin book of what's evil and what's good. Nothing's black and white in this world.
Exactly.
It's all gray. So, and I love that. I love how they're teaching each other. And that's really what making a character is that they need to progress. And I think people are scared to give their characters flaws and fears.
Yeah, I've noticed that sometimes.
Yeah, so I think one of the things I would do if you make a character is give them a flaw and give them a fear. Like the flaw is for Cooper that he, is very gullible and trusts everybody. And his fear could be a fear of water or something. It's the same kind of thing. Like, just adding those things makes the role-playing really nice. Where as your character progresses, they get better with their fears. You know, maybe they start swimming, you know, stuff like that. If they're afraid of water, they actually, like, dip their toe into a pool, and then by the end of the campaign, they can swim. Like, that's always really cool to see, the progression. And for Sips, it's a big thing, because at the beginning of the campaign, he's a complete jerk. Just a jerk.
Oh, yeah.
He's a complete jerk. And, I mean, he's still a jerk at the end, but he's a very lovable jerk. He's kind of like, he accepts everybody in the way of, like, he has friends now, and he actually cares about people, where at the beginning, it was all about himself.
Yeah.
And Sneeze. So
yeah, contrasting characters can make for a very interesting challenge as well.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Felix, what's a good homebrew race, in your opinion, for a bard?
You could do you should do like a siren, maybe like a really creepy one that can like unhinge its jaw or something when it sings. Or maybe like an orc. Something really not musically inclined, like a flamboyant orc that just sings the most high-pitched songs you've ever heard.
Yeah.
Or like a death metal gnome.
I like the death metal gnome.
I think I like the death metal gnome too.
Yeah, I like the death metal gnome. Okay, so what's your favorite D&D character you've played?
I think my favorite D&D character would be Ludwig, again, the paladin that you see right now.
Yeah, or might be done by now.
Yeah, maybe. But he has the most fun challenges for me to like explore, and also his character growth I found the most interesting. The way he's like exploring the world and learning not to be just kind of a...
Stick in the mud?
Yeah, stick in the mud.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think he would be my favorite. I just love progressing characters, and he's been the deepest so far in terms of like roleplay experience. He's been the most immersed in all of them. So.
He also fights pretty crazy. Like, I really like his fighting style.
Oh yeah, he's way over the top.
Yeah. He's got a big sword, chainsaw sword.
A big chainsaw sword.
Yeah.
And he rides a demon horse and charges into battle, and the demon horse is named Buttercup, and she's adorable.
Yeah, and we all love her. Yeah, and I guess for me, my favorite would be Sips, just because it was such a unique idea at the time, and it kind of progressed, and the whole entire story of Fool's Gold really worked well with him, so, yeah. Which I think I might be making more videos on. I kind of thought of the idea of keep going with this, and doing kind of episodic kind of campaign on YouTube for an animated series. I don't think I've ever really seen it done before, and to be honest, I'm kind of scared about it, but I think it would be fun, and I don't know if it'll be good or bad, but I just know that the Fool's Gold story was amazing, and the characters were amazing, and I think it's a story that deserves to be told.
I think people will definitely enjoy hearing all the fuck-ups of Sips. And all the other juicy details of the rest of the party.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe let us know your opinion in the comments.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay. What is your thoughts on pineapples?
It should be called ananas.
You German scum.
Every country in the world spells it ananas. Yeah. Except English.
Yeah. It's because it's better. How often does this amount of crazy stuff happen in D&D? I'm about to start a campaign, and I have no idea what to expect.
Well, with our campaigns, a lot.
Yeah.
Like, the Tarrasque was pretty crazy, but it's gonna get, like, even crazier.
It does. It gets crazier.
But that's because we love doing that. Our group loves having crazy shit happen to them. They love crazy items, crazy NPCs, and, I mean, through their actions, they make it even crazier. So, if you played with us, it would be very crazy.
Yeah.
But it depends on your players. If your players are more like the serious type, you know, they want to have like a serious session with serious decisions and characters, then maybe it's not as crazy. But ultimately, it's up to you and your party and what you throw at them.
Not to say that we don't have serious moments in Fool's Gold. But it was a lot of craziness, all the time.
Yep.
It really was. Yeah, so, yeah. Last question.
All right.
Felix, are you a furry?
Well, thank you guys for joining us for the QA. I certainly hope I can help some of you with the questions I've answered. But if you have any other questions, I'm usually hanging out on Twitter. I'll put my handle in the description of the video and just shoot me a message, tweet at me, and I'll try to answer all the questions I can.
Yeah, and your Twitter handle is @FelixErnich.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
Any questions, even small ones, I'll try to get back to you.
Yeah. Well, this was fun, and I enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. Maybe we'll do another one if there's like an overabundance of questions or something.
Yeah. Oh god, we had to sift through a lot.
Yeah, I'm sorry we couldn't get to all your questions. There was a lot of good ones. I just tried to pick out some of the best ones.
Well, the broader ones.
The broader ones.
Because there were some really good ones that we just were too specific. And some of them are going to be answered in the episodes. Like...
Yes.
Yeah, like the actual Fool's Gold episodes. And like, any personal questions about us, I'll be answering eventually too. So, yeah, thanks for listening and watching my silly speed paint and all this stuff. But I really do enjoy these. I really do enjoy doing the Q&As because I really like talking to you guys and hearing your questions and, reading in the comments for it. And, yeah, so, have a good day.
Till next time.
Yeah, I don't know. Bye.
Bye.